Good evening. God bless you. How is everyone? I'm super excited. I have a very special guest. One of the first pastors I met when I moved to Austin, Pastor James Jacobs. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. It's good to be here. We finally made it together, put it on a show and talk together. I love that introduction you got there and that fatal distraction. Distractions are fatal, and so I like what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Well, those of us that see the VFO, it's not a typo, y'all. It's not a typo. So, what's a VFO, Pastor?
Well, God woke me up in the middle of the night and gave me that title because my background is business. My background is business, and so a business of ministry. And VFO is visionary, founder, and overseer. That's who I am. I don't want a title. People got title bishop, apostle. That's not who I am. I am the visionary of Word of Life Christian Faith Center. I am the founder, and right now I'm the overseer of the churches and ministries that are under my whatever you want to call it, that I mentor, that I coach. So it fits who I am: visionary, founder, and overseer. VFO.
Yes, I love it because I've often admired the things that you do and the things that you've done. I remember meeting one of your twin sons, and he and I just connected. He's like, I guess I'm his auntie, nephew. He and I laugh about it all the time. I'm not really sure who I am, but James is so amazing. He told me that you all came from Tacoma, Washington.
Mhm.
So, what happened? You moved from Tacoma to hot Austin, Texas.
Well, I'm originally from Texas, and my wife from North Carolina. And so we had mentioned my wife always wanted to come south, come to Texas. And so we had built a large ministry up there, and I built business, for 20 some odd years. And we felt, I read the scripture, Deuteronomy says, you can pass around this mountain long enough.
Mm.
Agreed that it's time to come home because I got nine, it's nine of us. I got it's eight. I got five sisters and three brothers, when I'm passed. And so basically, I'm the only one out of Texas. And so, so I missed all the family reunions, everything. So that was kind of part of coming to Texas. And the other part, that was part of it. And really to come and do a ministry in a hometown, what I always wanted to do, come back home and do a ministry at home to the people so they can see the son that's left and how's he doing right now. Because
Oh, good.
so that's kind of pulled it back to Texas is to come back home. And we had sent our son first. We the spies out. The twin was in Texas 2 years before we came.
Mhm.
Told us all about it. So when we came, I just told everybody I'm the father of the twins. So that's how we wound up in Texas, right here.
Wow. Yeah, and I remember the story when I met your namesake James. He was telling me at the time you all were building, I call it a mega church outside of Austin. And
Mhm.
it was so impressive to me because you left, and it sounded like something I would do, and my husband would scratch his head because I'm that person too that would do something that had never been done before. But you came, and I remember the story living with a little mobile home on the lot.
Right.
Even made the news when the contractor sold hundreds of thousands of dollars from you all, and you all were so determined, and you finished that building, and it was a very impressive building, which is still there under different ownership. But I was admired for you because you've always had such a business sense.
Mhm.
So my question is, I've met so many people, and my husband and I were one of them as well, as a young couple or as people that say, God told me to start a ministry.
Mhm.
I don't know where to start.
Mhm.
What are some of the nuggets that you would give someone that's starting out that's never, all I know is you have a word and a Bible, a
Mhm.
word from the Lord and a Bible. So, what are some things that you would suggest they do?
Well, one thing John Maxwell always teaches us that the first person you need is yourself. It's so important that you work on yourself. So many times, young leaders want to, oh, I get some people, I work on the people. No, you need to work on yourself, and evaluate your skills. What do you have? Like Jesus, like the prophet asked the woman, what do you have? So I think you take some time and don't get in a hurry to evaluate who you are and what you have. And then if you evaluate that and can be able to write the vision and make it plain on who you are, it'll make a difference in your next move, Because if you look through the whole Bible, God evaluated people before he put them on a mission. Moses, 40 years. You're looking at Jesus himself, 3 years before he really got into his ministry, So a lot of time I tell young people, don't get in a hurry. Work on yourself. Get more than just 5 scriptures and come. The Bible, it's different between a vision and an idea. It's a difference between a career and a calling. Because sometimes we want to start a ministry, but that's a career. It's not a calling. A calling is something that you have to do. A calling is something that you're equipped to do. You have the gifts and the skills to do, and the confidence to make it happen. And it doesn't. And you got to look at it from the practical point of view before you go to the faith point of view, because we fight all the time between fact and faith.
Mm-hmm.
Fact is you don't know what you're doing. The fact is you broke. And it's gonna take a lot of faith to get you so far. But after a while, I tell people the Bible said faith is the substance of things hoped for.
Mm-hmm.
So sooner or later you're gonna need some substance.
Mm-hmm.
And so and that's what I would suggest. Take some time, work on yourself, develop yourself before you start working on anybody else.
So what do you mean develop myself? I know God called me. I'm supposed to start a church. Oftentimes we run out and get a building. I know that's what my husband and I did. We didn't get a building, but we said, okay, we got to get a space.
Mm-hmm.
At first we had favor with a hotel, but how do we get the people? Because at first we did all the things we knew to do as far as the marketing, the advertising, and inviting people. Mm-hmm. But usually after that first service, after people come to see what you're doing, then they either disappear. In our case, we were new to the area, so we didn't really know but a few people, and we invited people. And I want to say those first few weeks, like I heard Creflo Dollar say, it was just me and my husband and the Angels. We had a boom box and some CDs. Mm-hmm. And I did praise and worship to the Angels because there was nobody in the seats.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I said develop yourself, I'm talking about you mentioned that we got the building, but then got to go get the people. Developing yourself simply is that, are you relational? Are you relational? Do you have skills in the area of relationship? Do you care about people? Do you really care? You know what I'm saying? Developing yourself in a skill of connecting with people. It's just like the church. A person is not in the customer service area. They work out it. They mean, they have a bad disposition. But what we do is we put them on the usher board. We put them the first face they see. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying that you don't have the skills. Are you developing your area of relationship? All right. Developing the area of leadership. Are you a real leader? Are you developing the area of equipping? John Maxwell put it like this. First of all, develop yourself in relationship. Number 2, you gotta develop yourself in equipping, training. Do you know how they train, equip somebody? And number 3, you deal with your attitude. How's your attitude? And then last, develop yourself in leadership. That's REAL, real. Get real with yourself. You know what I'm saying? I think you have to really work on those areas. And are you developing an area of finance? Yes. Do I know my money? So when I talk about development, I'm talking about working on those skill levels that you need. And like I said, you may not be know how to do that well, but you need to find somebody on your team that knows how to do that. You know, if I would tell young people, take some time and develop your team before you go out there.
That's good.
The days of me and my family gonna start, it won't work nowadays. You need to get a team. Jesus didn't give that model. I don't know where that model came from. Jesus' model was he went and got disciples.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, it is the day of an entrepreneur. A person got to have a spirit. You know, you got to start with that. Nobody will tell you get started. You got to be a self-starter.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus got business people. He got successful people around. He built a team that was can assure sure that he was going to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Got the people around him. So all when I said develop yourself, I'm telling you got to be able to know these things or be able to do these things or see the value of these things before you start ministry. Well, God called me and that's enough. He'll provide.
Uh-huh.
All right, well, go ahead on and out there and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So Jesus himself, he said, yeah, he could have said, well, God provide, but the Bible didn't say it like that. Then he
Mm-hmm.
went by the Sea of Galilee and he put some effort into his ministry before he started.
Mm-hmm.
He knew how to have a relationship with people, how to connect with people. So I think all those things the young preacher needs to say, I need to evaluate all myself, develop myself in the area of relationship, you know, my effectiveness in equipping people, my attitude towards people, and then my leadership ability, you know, and how can I manage my finance, you know, and my mission, my mission, my money, and my members. You know, that's what you gotta have, baby.
Good. That's good. Yeah, it's so important. Also, as a young someone that's starting out in ministry, or just maybe they've been there for a while, so important to have a team or someone a team of accountability,
Right.
other leaders that are successful that you can go to. That's one going to hold you accountable. That you're going to be, be a person of integrity and really representing the kingdom and Christ well. And at the same time, that you can be vulnerable to, that they can pray with, and that's something I find that a lot of people call it covering, but at the same time, who is your tribe that's going to tell you the truth, bring correction, at the same time encourage you and strengthen you when you're weak.
Right.
So all of that's so important. So you've been doing ministry for quite some time. Who did you and Lady Jacobs have during those times? I think one time you were part of probably an organized religion, but then you stepped out and you had your own. Who are some of the leaders that are still around that those that are listening that maybe they can attach to or get fed from as well?
See, you can be fed and hold yourself accountable to people that are near and people that are far. I had a great pastor, Superintendent Brown, that guided us through. He's a great father and a great leader, great leader. But I think 1990, Apostle David and I went to TDJ conference in Dallas, and we started that journey of really learning. And it goes back again to developing yourself. We had a desire to learn and to grow. And so you have to surround yourself with the right people in order to make that thing happen. So we we submitted ourselves to this information that was coming our way. That was, we knew that's going to help us grow and develop. And if you're a young pastor, and it doesn't matter if you have 50 covering, but if you're not disciplined, submitted to any authority, you're going to lose from the get-go, because some people just want to have covering. They said what they have covering. Mm-hmm. They do what they want to do anyway, you know. But that hunger. So some of the people, my pastor, Superintendent Brown and Bishop Brown, then we T.D. Jakes, and then Ivy Hilliard, and then I read a lot with John Maxwell. So people can pour into your life, don't have to be a part of your life. but you know they've been successful. So that's part of developing yourself too, is knowing that, hey, I read at least a book a month. You know, you got to read to lead. You know, and so it's so important that you have the hunger to know that once you know you got to develop yourself, that's what you start doing. You start doing things intentionally to put yourself in position so you can grow into the person you really want to be. Because if you don't grow into the person you really want to be, the people that come around you are going to be confused. Well, you're trying to go today, you like this person, tomorrow you like that person. They don't know. So it goes back to you got to develop yourself, know who you are. You know, John Maxwell did that book, Developing the Leader Within You.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so I think I keep going back to that because I think it's so important that we have to spend some time for some self-development of ourselves. You don't need nobody else. You need someone else. But if you don't have the initiative yourself, it's going to be hard for somebody to try to teach you something because you don't have initiative. They got to call you and wake you up every morning. You know, so you know.
Yeah.
So
So what I hear is that you got to want to.
right.
And that's how it was. I remember when I was, like I said, a younger Christian, well, a baby Christian. I had just joined the church, and I loved what our pastor was doing. But for me, there was a hunger for more. There was more than I needed. It was no disrespect to him and his teaching, but there was something else that I needed and a different flavor. You know, sometimes you can eat vanilla ice cream all the time, but sometimes you want to try something different. Put a cherry on top or something. And it took nothing away from him. It just enhanced what I was already receiving on a weekly basis from our local pastor.
Mhm.
And that's what people don't really, you don't hear many people talk about that because some churches don't want you to go outside of that wall. That, you know, we have everything you need right here.
Right.
No, I wasn't close enough, walking that close with the pastor at the time, or knew the people at the church to even tell them. I just saw there was a women's event going on in the city. I didn't know anything about the people, but I knew it was the Holy Spirit leading me to go there. So I was brave enough to go to this conference that was hosted by, and speakers were not my nationality.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing we have to get away from, this whole segregation thing.
Right.
Because one, we know heaven is not going to be different nationalities. And at the same time, God, he created us all. And each one have something they can impart, and not to be just focused on if they don't look like you or sound like you. And so I know several months ago I saw on Facebook you were like you said, you were constantly learning and feeding yourself. You went to something down in the Houston area. I saw you that you posted that you were.
Yes, it was.
What was that?
Right. It was about preaching. Not on preaching. They have I think Forest. I forget the name of the church now, but a huge church. But you know, when you got a hunger, God, the Bible said, "Blessed is the man that hunger and thirst after righteousness, for he shall be filled."
Mm-hmm.
So you know, with me, if it's a word of God, if it's something I can grow in, you know, when you start doing that, God will send you the places that you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
He'll sing you. And so I was there just to learn and just be inspired and be around other preachers, other successful people. You know, I'm about success, you know, and so I want to get around successful people because I know your environment will shape you. And I teach my sons all the time, exposure expands you.
Yes.
A lot of time when people are stuck because they have not been exposed to anything else.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I think T.D. Jakes said back in the 90s, that people singing all them the rap song, but talking about how they went, you know, about all the violence. We said, I'm just singing about where I am. Well, if you just cross the track on the other side, the people over there are not like that. So it might change your song. So sometimes we act like our environment. We act like what we've been eating. And so maybe it's something better. When you have a hunger and desire for better, then you'll go get better. And I don't say when I go get it, I'm not blaming the cook at the other place. I'm just getting it and being satisfied myself. Because, you know, the other person was the reason I'm where I am right now. So I don't push back on the people that got me where I am.
Right.
But it's important to realize that God is calling you to that area of growth because there's some other folks that He wants you to pour into
Mm-hmm.
that are more hungry than the other folks you're around. So it's I think I have some hungry people. So God gives me more. Much is given, much is required.
That's right. That's
I
right.
have I have to prepare more because I know God called me to feed hungry people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not hungry, then I won't waste too much of my time. I'm
I know.
not
I
I'm
would
not
enjoy talking to you.
I'm not mad because you're not hungry. I just want to give it over here to these people here that they eat it up right away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what I love about it, you and I are very young, of course,
Oh,
and you stay relevant. You
mhm.
work hard to stay relevant. I have some colleagues that are somewhere, they're not quite as young as you and I, but they are close.
Mhm.
And how, what would be the advice for someone that's been a senior pastor for a while, or maybe inherited a church, or, just been a pastor for a long time, to get them to be relevant to the new people, the new generation? What are some of your secrets, or that you would tell some of your friends that's been minister a while, how to shift, so that you can draw the next generation and not just have a church of older people?
Well, it goes back to really looking at what you really want to do while you're here, evaluating what's your level of satisfaction. I'm God has blessed me. God has blessed me to be able to shift. And really, my sons help me a lot too. It's good to have young people that you listen to, even though you're the senior, but that you listen to them. To try to be relevant. And I think John Maxwell says that people will change when they hurt enough that they have to, when they learn enough that they want to, and when they hear enough that they're able to.
Wow.
Sometimes at what people are, they're not able to make that change. So they got to hear more. And me as a teacher, I've learned to be patient with people, show them the picture of what can be. But then you got to help them to get there. And I think what I would do, say, if a person that maybe seem like they're stuck or wherever they are, I would paint them a picture of what can be. If you look through at the Bible, God pulled people into the promised land by telling them what can be. He said, there's a land flowing with milk and honey. You
Mm-hmm.
that all he painted a picture of what can be, what pulls them into the area of what they should be. And so I think that's what you have to do. And I've learned as a leader to be transparent too. Say, hey, it didn't happen to me overnight. I have
Mm-hmm.
to earn this transition. And if you like what you see, well then follow the pattern that I did. You have to really just surrender to the process. We say that with ease,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to first of all admit to yourself where you are. That even though I'm pretending, look like I'm happy with what I have, but I want more. I never was satisfied with little.
Mm-hmm.
I never was. I wasn't satisfied with lack. I wasn't sad. So, but I was willing to pay the price to get what I want. And so the Bible says He'll give you desires of your heart. So if you don't have no desire, why would God give you something?
That's good.
I think it goes back to really um, that person going back to evaluating who you are and what do you really want. What do you really want? Be transparent with yourself and see, and don't be so easily satisfied. And then here's a picture of what can be. And when I show the picture, I understand it's going to take some time for you to get there. So I've learned to be patient because it's not going to happen overnight. A person been there for 30, 40 years, you ask them to change, it's not going to happen overnight. it's going to take a process of change. They're going to need some help from and that's what I did. I had a team of people around me to help me. What do you think about this? Well, but Dad, that's old. We don't know. This is what you think about it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I have people, just like you have people to hold you accountable, you have people around you that helps you to be relevant. They help you. They help you. They help you to be where you need to be. And it's a matter of yielding to that process. Hey, when you see me, help me over here. If I'm not reaching these young people, how can I reach these young people better? Talk, what do you think? So I would suggest nowadays the pastors create a ministry think tank of the young people and just see what they think. You the pastor, you the guy, but create a think tank and find out what they're thinking.
Wow.
For the ideas that come up among them. You don't have to do them all, but it sure will get you to thinking a little bit.
Wow, that's good. A think tank.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they have it in corporate. Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
And the Bible said there's nothing new under the sun. So, like you said, to take some nuggets from them and say, sometimes, we don't want to. We want to keep it the old-fashioned way, but that's not God's design, because he said, of course, his mercies are new every day, but at the same time, you don't want to try to pour the new wine into old wineskins, and you wonder why you're not attracting those. Yes, the word is there, but there's a new way of doing it. Like I always like to say, like when you're going fishing, my husband and our sons are fishermen. They use different bait for different things. And so and my husband and I, it's so funny because we like two different types of music, because I don't know why he loves listening to that music. He grew up on that old stuff. I'm there. I'll hear him over there playing that. It's like, oh my goodness, for me, that's depressing. But because I like the upbeat. But like you said, depends on who God's called you to and who God wants, to help attract. I know you do a lot about leadership. You've been called for now. You've transitioned out of being a full-time pastor to traveling. You've been sent for. Tell us a little bit about this leadership that you're doing. I know you have some material. What are the churches calling you in for? What's that all about?
Well, they call them in because I think they realize that a position is the lowest form of leadership. We got people in positions, but they're not leaders. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to connect with people, and so they bring me in to teach people the art of leadership. How do I move people? How do I have my leader to inspire others and motivate them towards a common goal? And so I come in to inspire them in that area, to give them some tools, not just talk. I give them some tools, step by step. That's what this first book, this book here, you can get that at Amazon, a leadership matrix. It's a tool. It's a tool that pastors can use step by step and to train their leaders. So it's a tool for training leaders. So they come bring me in to train their leaders, empower them, equip them, so they can follow the mission. If the mission is to reach people, how are you going to reach people? So we got to work on your attitude. We got to work on relationship. How do we pay? We got to work on your affecting. How effective are you with people? We got to work on your attitude. And then we got to work on your leadership ability. Real. Go back to real again. So that's what they bring me in to do. And then I got this other book, 52 Weeks of Wisdom. That's on Amazon. 52 Weeks of Wisdom. Leadership best practices. I got that one. And then the other book is a copy of a book John Maxwell wrote. Leadership Laws You Need to Learn. These are manuals that I have. They're not on Amazon, but if people email me, I can send it to them with, for most of these are $15 a piece, and then this latest one that I'm working on is a forward look at leadership, reimagine positional leadership. So every day I work on leadership ideas and tools, and I read a lot about leadership. Matter of fact, I just got the latest book by John Maxwell. called High Road Leadership. And
Oh,
so
what?
High Road Leadership,
Oh, okay.
high road, taking the high road. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what they bring me in to do. So really, it's to train their leaders, a different look at leadership. And because the pastor wants their church to move, they want the church to increase, and you cannot move forward without good, effective leaders.
Yeah.
Everything rises and everything falls.
Mhm.
Leadership. Until you equip your leader, you can't do it all yourself. Jesus model, he came and he equipped people, Then he left with the people with to empower them. He equipped them, then he empowered them with the Holy Spirit to get things done. And that's what they call me in to do. It's to train.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, one last question.
Mhm.
I was thinking about, I'm a pastor. I have members, but no one wants to volunteer. Like me, I was that person that when God said, okay, he spoke to me and told me to start the women's ministry. So I, email pastor went to him. But what if you have members that are so comfortable just sitting there, but you see the call that they are prophetess, or they serve in the church, but they don't have a title. But
Mhm.
you need some actual leaders.
Mhm.
So would your material help? Because they don't, maybe have a deacon or two, but
Mhm.
they don't have titles. They don't have people that say, I'm over this department, that department. You know how like some people won't come forth to say, I'll do this or I'll do that. You know what I mean?
I think people nowadays are not traditionally, they're not reaching for titles. And what's good to have a deacon title, but you don't know how to deacon. You don't know how to lead.
Uh-huh.
Relationship with people. So I think you go back to finding out where that person, what are their gifts and strengths they have? What are their strengths? And don't look at the position. Look at the person. Start with the person. What do you have? What do you like to do? You deal with that person. What do you do? Like the interview. What do you do when you're not working? They trying to find all about you before they can put you somewhere. We do it all the way around. We need to take some time with that person. And if you can meet that need of that person, maybe all they need is, now sometimes people just need you to ask them in the right way, or they don't need to understand your vision.
Mm-hmm.
They need to understand what are you trying to do? People want to know what you're trying to do before they jump in there to doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that you need to recast your vision, and people need to know how they fit into what you're trying to do. You need to be able to explain that. How is you being an usher fits into the mission of the church?
That's good.
That's what a pastor needs to say. Okay, I got your usher, but how did that fit into the mission of the church? They need to know,
Mm-hmm.
And so whatever you're doing, you have to be able to connect that with the vision and the mission of the church. If you cannot do that, you're not going to get volunteers because they don't understand.
Right.
They don't know what we're doing. What are we doing here? And the great leaders will ask that question every time. And we miss them because what are we doing here? Well, what we doing for the Lord? No, you didn't answer that question. So you're not going to get the key volunteers because you cannot answer the question. You cannot explain, write the vision, make it plain. So those things are important. Let's go back to the leader need to become a better leader so he can find leaders. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So what needs to happen. So that's if you want to get volunteers, that's how you get them.
So do you train pastors how to be a leader? Because that's something we were never taught.
Yeah, I
In
do
church.
that.
We taught how to preach or all that other stuff, but they never taught you because what they said, leaders are born, they're not made.
Yeah.
Or is that true? Or can you help me become a leader, a better leader?
John Maxwell said like this, I ain't never seen a leader that wasn't born. People can be developed. Leaders can be developed. I think what I do, I coach pastors. It's like I'm talking right now. They call me and I coach them. It's well, I'm dealing with this situation. What do you think? And I talk to them through the process. I coach them. So I'm a pastor's coach. So they can go to my website, jamesjacob.org. and send me an email and say, hey, I want a coaching call with you. I want to talk to you.
That's good. That's
So
good.
you can do that. You can do just like that. And I'll respond to you because hey, it's a lot of problems that I have at 30 years as a pastor and then another 30 years as a businessman. And so I'm John Max leadership coach for almost 30 years. So I think nowadays the leaders really have to see you can't give what you don't have.
That's good.
A lot of time you don't have it. You're trying, but you don't have it. You don't have the ability to do that. So if I don't have it, reduce that pride and find somebody who can do a better job of that than you do. And that's all you have to do. You have to be willing to do that in order to be successful nowadays.
Wow, that's great. Well, I so appreciate you so much. I just love picking your brain and talking to you. And there have been times as a young leader, I didn't like the answer that you gave me because I was that person that, like you said, had a word in the Bible and ready to go, but you be like, hold up now. You're that person that will say, okay, you can do it like this, but this is what I suggest. So that much I love about you because you're gonna show me both sides of it. That's, I think, that, like you said, the businessman, the military man, the father, all of that you wrapped up in you, who you are when people come to you for advice. And I just want to thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule to be a part of the show. Also, if someone wants to connect with you and reach out to you, how can they connect with you? Because I know you're on Facebook. So if someone wants to email you or contact you, how can they reach you? What's a good way to find you?
Well, they can follow me at Pastor Jacobs on Facebook, and then they can email me at VFO at HayesCares.org, or they can email me at Pastor J at wordoflifecfc.com. And you can go to my website too at jamesjacob.org, and you can see me there. You can go to HayesCares.org, and I'm there too. So we have a nonprofit. So that's how those ways to contact me. And I love to share and about leadership because I really believe that a critical problem and the crying needs of our world today is simple, just leadership. That everything rises, everything falls on leadership. When there's a problem, there's a leadership problem.
Yep, it's it. Well, thank you again. And those of you, you're watching Pastor James Jacobs, all the way from Kyle, Buda, Austin, Texas. It's the same, Austin, Texas. So good night, everyone, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.